Welcome to the Black Church Leadership Podcast. I'm your producer Billy Ryan, and I'm thrilled to introduce our host Apostle Martin Wilson. Apostle Wilson has dedicated the last 30 years of his life to the subject of leadership and now seeks to help empowering individuals so that they can be the best versions of themselves. Without further ado, let's go to our podcast already in progress.
Pastors versus the rancher. Pastors versus the rancher. And as we get into it, I'm sure you'll better understand the lesson when we get into it. But it's the pastor versus the rancher. The pastor versus the rancher. So I want to welcome you to another episode of the Black Church Leadership Podcast. We try to give you great leadership teaching each week. We try to put forth a new episode every Thursday, but the last couple of weeks I've been recording them live here. Then we take it down and we edit it and put it back up for our weekly broadcast. Well, thank you guys that join us, that come on while we're recording. So thank you so much. So today we're going to dive into a topic that I believe is very critical. It's a very critical topic that we really need to focus on for those of us that are pastors. Those of us that are pastors. And we're going to talk about how we lead and how we shepherd in the Black church. How we lead and how we shepherd in the Black church. And we're going to look at and explore the two most common methods of pastoring. And the traditional method of pastoring is one that we're going to have to kind of shift and rethink about. And we're going to also talk about the ranger, the innovative ranger method. And we're going to do it in a way which we hope will be easy enough for you to go back and to be able to discuss with your leadership team. So this is going to be a real short message tonight. So we're in a time now where the church is evolving, the world is evolving, and the method of leading and pastoring in the Black church has to be adaptable. We cannot use the same teaching methods that we used 10, 20, 30 years ago to try to pastor in this present time. We've got to find new innovative ways to approach pastoring so that we can become relative to the time, and that we can really get to the place where we're meeting the needs of the people. We've got to adapt so we can better serve our communities. So as I said, there's a traditional way of pastoring, and then we're also going to look at a more forward-thinking ranger method of pastoring. So when we think of the traditional way of pastoring, we think of nurturing individuals. This is the pastor who cares for each person in the congregation, or tries to care for each person in the congregation individually. They try to take that individual approach and begin to try to care for each person in the congregation, and their focus is one-on-one. They're wanting to build strong relationships. They're wanting to really build relationship with the flock, and that's very important. They're offering spiritual support. They try to tailor it to each individual person's needs. And when it comes to equipping leaders, the pastor method of pastoring a church identifies potential leaders. We pick them out within the congregation, and then we begin to invest significant amount of time into those individuals' growth. And we do that more on a one-on-one basis. And this can involve mentorship, a discipleship type program, some kind of specific training that ensures that the leaders embody the core values and teaching of the church. So you can see how that can be very, very time consuming. Now, the rancher method, and as I said, this is not going to be a long message or teaching tonight. The rancher method, in contrast, is a much more about empowering the entire church. empowering the entire church community to be able to work together, not just specific leaders, but being able to pull everybody in the congregation and find out what their gifts are. Picture a rancher that's rounding up the herd. He's rallying the herd together to get them to collaborate and to work together. And with this approach, the pastor creates an environment where every member is encouraged to discover and use their unique gift and talent. I was talking with a pastor today, and he was kind of sharing his frustration. And in sharing his frustration, I was letting him know that when a new pastor goes to a church, the first 5 years he spends cleaning up the mess of the last pastor that was there. And there's some congregations, there's some not only congregations, but denominations that have a mindset of, we hired you to do ministry. We called you here to do ministry. Why do we have to do ministry? But when you're going to get into the rancher method of developing people and pastoring a church, you're creating an environment where the members are not just sitting on the pews, but the members are engaged and they're discovering their spiritual gifts and their talents. And when you're developing leadership and the rancher mode, it becomes a team effort. It's not just one or two people that are shining every time, every service, the same people over and over. But we're trying to develop people, raise people up. We're using teamwork. It involves the entire church community. Training often happens when you're using the rancher method. It is in a group setting. Not just one-on-one, but it's a group setting, and it fosters the unity and a shared vision and the shared purpose within the congregation. And this goes beyond just spiritual guidance. We said that what the pastor does when you're just pastoring, you're just worried about the spiritual well-being of a person, and that is good and grand, but you've got to go into that more rancher type and method of pastoring, where you're guiding them beyond just the spiritual. You're encompassing, teaching them skills and responsibility. You're teaching them administration. You're teaching them outreach. You're teaching them how to engage in the community. You're teaching them how to be better men and women on their jobs. So you have the pastor method, which is the pastor who is one-on-one with everyone, trying to find a means to create an individual package, if you will, for each person. They try to identify leaders and take time with that leader, pour into that one leader. That's what the normal pastoring, that's what pastoring has been. But we've got to move into a more of a ranch style where we're pulling the herd together. We're pulling people together. We're getting in a group setting. We're not just teaching another Bible lesson, but we're teaching leadership. We're teaching them how to grow. We're teaching them how to communicate better so that they become better individuals overall, not just better church members, but better and the best version of their self that they can possibly be. So I wanted to just drop that nugget in here tonight. So as we navigate through a changing world, our leadership method has to evolve. It has to change. The way we've been pastoring has to change. While the traditional pastoring method of individually nurturing individuals, it's valuable. But we want to encourage you to integrate into a more innovative rancher method of empowering the entire congregation. So I pray that this will be something that you will go back, that you will think about. Maybe I can put some more links inside of the teaching so that you can discover more. So I want to thank you again. This has been the Black Church Leadership Podcast for this week. My name is Bishop Martin Wilson, and I want to thank you for joining me. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us here on Facebook. Until next time, remember, God is the greatest power, and you are absolutely not defeated. God bless.
You have been listening to the Black Church Leadership Podcast with Master Life Coach and NLP practitioner, Apostle Martin Wilson.